Have you ever felt the cold sting of a door closing just as you were about to step inside? Have you ever reached out to touch a soul only to watch them vanish into the shadows of their own mind? It is a heavy weight to carry. You love someone who seems to treat your affection like a threat. You give your heart and they give you silence. You offer a hand and they offer a wall. It makes you wonder if you are the problem. It makes you feel like your love is a burden. But today, I want you to stop and breathe. What if I told you that their distance has nothing to do with your worth? What if I told you that the wall they built wasn't designed to keep you out, but to keep their own shattering heart together? This is the paradox of the avoidant. They are the masters of the silent fortress. They are the architects of isolation. But beneath that concrete exterior lies a soft, pulsing light that is starving for the very thing it fears. If you stay with me until the end of this journey, I am going to reveal the one psychological key that unlocks the vault of an avoidant's heart. I will show you why your presence is more powerful than your words. By the time we finish, you will understand exactly how to make them feel safe enough to finally melt into your arms. Imagine living in a world where every hug feels like a cage. To the avoidant, intimacy is not a soft blanket. It is a tightening grip. From a very young age, their brain learned a dangerous lesson. They learned that relying on others leads to disappointment. They learned that being vulnerable is the same as being weak. This is the psychological root of the silent fortress. It is called hyper-independence. It is a survival mechanism that tells them, if I don't need you, you can't hurt me. When you move closer, their internal alarm system goes off. It screams at them to run, to hide, and to protect the only person they think they can trust, themselves. This isn't a choice they make to hurt you. It is a reflex. It is a ghost from their past standing guard at the door of their future. They wear a mask of being cold or detached because they believe that if they show you their true self, they will lose their freedom. They view love as a trade-off. They think that to be loved is to be controlled. So they retreat. They pull away just when things are getting good. They create distance because the heat of the connection is starting to melt their ice and they aren't ready to be liquid yet. But here is the secret that psychology teaches us about the human spirit. No one is truly an island. The fortress is exhausting to maintain. Imagine the energy it takes to keep every window locked and every door bolted 24 hours a day. The avoidant is tired. Deep down in the quietest part of their soul, they are desperately lonely. They are watching you from the battlements, hoping you won't leave, even while they tell you to go. This is the core conflict of their existence. They have a biological hunger for connection, but a psychological terror of it. They are standing in the rain, staring at a warm house, but they are convinced the floorboards will give way the moment they step inside. Your job is not to tear down the wall. If you swing a sledgehammer at a fortress, the person inside only retreats deeper into the basement. Your job is to become the atmosphere. You must understand that their silence is a scream for safety. When they pull away, they are testing the gravity of your love. They are asking, will you still be there when I am difficult to love? Most people fail this test. They react with anger. They demand answers. They chase. And when you chase an avoidant, you prove their fears right. You become the predator, and they become the prey. But when you understand the psychology of the melt, you stop chasing. You start standing still. You become a safe harbor. You show them that your love is not a cage, but a sky. You provide the energetic hug that says, I see your fear, and I am not moved by it. This is the beginning of the transformation. We are going to dive deep into the mechanics of the avoidant brain. We are going to explore why they crave certainty over passion. We are going to look at the childhood echoes that created this silence. But most importantly, we are going to learn how to be the person who finally makes them feel safe enough to stay. You are here because you care. You are here because you see the light behind their wall. Do not give up on the beauty of what is possible. The most guarded hearts often hold the most profound love once they finally break open. Let us begin the process of understanding. Let us learn how to turn that cold fortress into a home. The architecture of the human mind is built on the foundations of our earliest memories. To understand why someone retreats, we must look at the blueprint of their childhood. We often assume that people grow up learning how to give and receive affection naturally. However, psychology tells a different story. For many, the concept of a safe touch was never established. Instead, they grew up in environments where their needs were ignored, or worse, treated as a nuisance. This creates a lasting imprint on the nervous system. When a child learns that their cries for help bring no comfort, they stop crying, they go quiet, they turn inward. This is the birth of the avoidant attachment style. It is not a personality trait, it is a scar. By understanding this, you stop seeing their distance as a personal insult. You begin to see it as a historical necessity. They are not trying to push you away. They are trying to maintain the only equilibrium they have ever known. This brings us to the science of the frozen heart. When you attempt to bridge the gap, you are not just talking to a person. You are talking to a decade of survival training. The brain of an avoidant person is constantly scanning for signs of entrapment. In their mind, intimacy equals a loss of self. They feel that if they let you in, they will disappear. This is why the melt cannot be forced. You cannot boil ice to make it soft. You must provide a consistent, gentle warmth that allows it to change state on its own. Deep motivation comes from the realization that you have the power to influence this climate. You are the gardener of this relationship, and the soil is currently hard and dry. If you stomp on it, nothing grows. But if you provide a steady drip of patience, the ground eventually softens. We must also look at the concept of emotional capacity. Every human has a limit to how much closeness they can handle before they feel overwhelmed. For the avoidant, that limit is very low. They reach their saturation point much faster than you do. When they hit this limit, they experience a sensation known as emotional suffocation. It feels like the walls are closing in. It feels like they cannot breathe. In these moments, their logical mind shuts down and their primal brain takes over. This is why they might say things that are hurtful or act completely indifferent. They are in a state of high stress, trying to find an exit. If you understand this psychological trigger, you can stop taking their withdrawal personally. You can realize that their exit is not a departure from you, but a frantic search for air. True motivation stems from strength, not desperation. To help an avoidant melt, you must develop an unbreakable sense of self-regulation. You must be the one whose emotional state is not dictated by their silence. When they go quiet, your task is to remain loud in your inner peace. This is what truly confuses and eventually attracts the avoidant mind. They are used to people reacting to them. They are used to people begging, screaming, or leaving. When you do none of those things, when you remain a calm, steady presence, you break their internal script. You offer them something they have never experienced, a relationship that doesn't demand their immediate surrender. You are showing them that you are a person of substance, someone who can handle the shadows without being consumed by them. This creates a vacuum that the avoidant will eventually want to fill. When the pressure to perform or connect is removed, the avoidant person finally has the space to feel their own hunger for you. It is a psychological truth that we only miss what is not currently pressing against us. By giving them the space to breathe, you are giving them the opportunity to miss your warmth. This is the stage where the craving begins to outweigh the fear. They start to realize that the world outside the fortress is cold, and you are the only source of genuine light they have found. They begin to question their own walls. They start to wonder if the safety of isolation is actually a prison. This internal questioning is the most vital part of the journey. It is the moment the ice begins to crack from the inside out. You must remember that you are dealing with a person who has spent a lifetime being their own hero. They don't think they need anyone because they were forced to be their own support system before they were ready. This creates a deep sense of pride, but also a deep sense of exhaustion. Your role is to show them that being supported is not the same as being weak. You are demonstrating that two people standing together are stronger than one person standing alone behind a shield. This is not about convincing them with logic. It is about convincing them with a feeling. It is the feeling of a safe harbor that never moves, regardless of how hard the wind blows. When they realize that you are not going to break and you're not going to leave, their nervous system finally receives the signal it has been waiting for its entire life. The signal that says, it is safe to come out now. Now we arrive at the most transformative part of this journey, the manifestation of the safe harbor. This is where the theory of psychology meets the reality of human connection. To truly melt the heart of someone who has been running for a lifetime, you must understand the difference between a physical touch and an emotional embrace. For the avoidant, a physical hug can sometimes feel like a restraint, but an emotional hug feels like freedom. This type of embrace happens when you hold space for their complexity without trying to fix it. It is the act of being a witness to their internal struggle without making that struggle about you. When you offer this kind of unconditional presence, you are providing the exact nutrient their soul has been starved of since the beginning. You are offering a love that does not have strings attached. You are offering a seat at a table where they are allowed to be silent, messy, and hesitant. The power of being a constant cannot be overstated. In a world that is always changing, and in a life where they felt let down by the people meant to protect them, your consistency is a miracle. Think of your energy as a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not run out into the ocean to save the ship. It does not scream at the ship to move faster. It simply stands. It shines a light through the thickest fog and the darkest night. It is a fixed point in a chaotic world. When an avoidant person is caught in the storm of their own anxiety, they look for that light. If the light is blinking or moving, they lose their way. But if the light is steady, they eventually find their way back to the shore. By staying grounded in your own life and your own happiness, you become that lighthouse. You prove that you are a reliable destination. This reliability is what eventually deactivates their internal fight-or-flight response. Their brain stops seeing you as a predator and starts seeing you as home. This transformation is a slow and delicate process. It is a series of small yeses that lead to a major breakthrough. It starts with them sharing a small thought they usually keep hidden. It continues when they choose to spend an extra hour with you instead of retreating to their room. These are the moments when the guard is being lowered. You must treat these moments like sacred ground. If you celebrate too loudly or demand more, they will snap shut like a clam. But if you accept these small openings with a quiet, calm smile, you encourage them to open further. You are teaching their nervous system that intimacy does not lead to a loss of control. You are showing them that they can be close to you and still keep their dignity. This is the delicate balance of the safe harbor. It is about being close enough to feel their warmth, but far enough to let them feel their own strength. The melting happens when the avoidant person finally realizes that they no longer have to perform. For most of their life, they felt they had to be perfect or useful to be worthy of space. They felt that if they showed their true vulnerable core, they would be rejected or mocked. When they are in your presence and they realize that you love them even when they are shut down, something profound happens. The heavy armor they have worn for decades starts to feel unnecessary. It starts to feel heavy. They begin to realize that the armor isn't just keeping others out, it is keeping them trapped inside. This is the moment of psychological surrender. It is not a surrender to you, but a surrender to the truth of their own humanity. They stop fighting the need for love and start embracing the reality of it. This is the highest form of motivation, helping someone realize they are worthy of the very thing they are most afraid of. As this happens, the transformation becomes visible. Their posture changes. Their voice becomes softer. The sharp edges of their personality begin to round out. They start to use we instead of I. They begin to plan for a future that includes you, not as an obligation, but as a source of joy. This is the result of the atmosphere you created. You didn't change them. You gave them the safety they needed to change themselves. This is the ultimate gift of a deep psychological connection. You have provided the environment where a wilted soul can finally bloom. You have proven that the most guarded hearts are not broken. They are simply waiting for the right season to open. By being that season of warmth and patience, you have achieved what most people think is impossible. You have turned a fortress into a sanctuary. But do not mistake this for a passive act. Being a safe harbor requires immense internal power. It requires you to be the master of your own emotions. You must be able to sit in the silence without feeling lonely. You must be able to handle their withdrawal without feeling rejected. This is why this path is only for the strong. It is for those who understand that the greatest rewards in life come to those who can wait. The motivation you provide is not through your words, but through your character. You are a living example of what it means to love without fear. And in the presence of someone who loves without fear, the avoidant person finally finds the courage to let go of their own. The journey of the melt is a journey of two souls learning a new language. It is the language of trust, built one silent, steady moment at a time. Keep holding that space. Keep being that light. The melting has already begun, even if you cannot see the water yet. The ice is thinning, and beneath it, a deep and beautiful ocean of love is waiting to rise. This brings us to the final mountain of the journey, the realization that you cannot carry someone to the finish line, but you can walk beside them until they find their own legs. In this concluding stage, we must face the hard truth that love is not a renovation project. You are not a mechanic, and the person you love is not a broken machine. They are a human soul with a deeply ingrained pattern of self-protection. True motivation comes from accepting this reality. When you stop trying to fix the avoidant, you remove the last bit of pressure that keeps them in their shell. Psychology shows us that people only change when they feel entirely accepted as they currently are. This is the ultimate test of your strength. Can you look at their hesitation and see it as a part of their beauty? Can you see their need for distance as a sign of their resilience rather than a lack of loyalty? When you can answer yes to these questions, you have truly mastered the art of the motivational partner. The beauty of a heart that finally chooses to stay is unlike any other. Because it was so hard won, the bond becomes incredibly resilient. When an avoidant person decides to be vulnerable, it is a deliberate, conscious choice. It is not an accident of emotion. It is a victory over their own nature. This is why these relationships, once they reach a state of security, can be some of the most stable on earth. They have already survived the internal war. They have already looked at the face of fear and decided to keep moving forward. Your patience has taught them that the world is not a place of constant threat. You have rewritten the software of their mind through your actions. By being the one person who didn't flinch when they pushed back, you have become their compass. You have shown them that a deep, stable connection is the only thing that makes the chaos of life worth it. Consider the depth of what you have built together. You started with a person who lived behind a curtain, and you ended with someone who is willing to stand in the sun with you. This transition is a testament to the power of human endurance. It is easy to love someone who is always open and expressive. It is a much higher calling to love someone who is learning how to be seen for the first time. You are the architect of a new reality for them. You have provided a living classroom where they could study the mechanics of trust without being graded on their performance. Every day that you remained calm, you were adding another brick to a bridge that spans the gap between their past and their future. This is the work of a true leader in love. You have led them back to themselves. As we reach the conclusion of this path, I want you to look inward. Think about the growth you have experienced while waiting for them. You have learned a level of self-control that most people will never know. You have developed a psychological maturity that allows you to see past behaviors and into the core of human needs. This journey has not just transformed them, it has elevated you. You are now a person who can navigate the most complex emotional landscapes with grace and understanding. You are a source of healing energy, not just for the person you love, but for everyone who crosses your path. This is the hidden reward of the safe harbor. By learning how to hold space for an avoidant, you have learned how to hold the world. The final call to action is one of persistence and deep, quiet confidence. Do not be discouraged by the small steps back. The path to healing is never a straight line. There will be days when the fortress seems to reappear for a moment. There will be nights when the silence returns. But you must remember that you are no longer a stranger at their gate. You are the one who has the key. When the shadows return, you do not need to panic. You simply need to turn on your light and wait. Your presence is the medicine. Your stability is the cure. You have already done the hardest work by staying when others would have walked away. You have already proven that your heart is a place of sanctuary. In the end, the melt is not a single event, but a continuous state of being. It is the daily choice to be soft in a world that is often hard. It is the courage to keep your heart open even when it feels safer to close it. The avoidant person who finally rests their head on your shoulder is giving you a gift that is more valuable than any words can describe. They are giving you their trust, which is the rarest currency in the world. Cherish that trust. Guard it with the same strength you use to win it. As you move forward, keep this psychology in your mind. Everyone wants to be known, but everyone is afraid of being judged. If you can provide the knowing without the judging, you will never be alone. You have become the person they truly crave. You have become the calm in their storm, the peace in their noise, and the home they never thought they would find. Walk forward with this strength and watch as the walls continue to turn into windows, letting in the light of a love that was always meant to be.